now the active transportation is a transportation where energy is used to move the molecules from concentration gradient, that is against a concentration gradient. What is concentration gradient? Difference in the concentration of different solutions in which molecules move from high to low and sometimes from low to high. Here, energy is required at least. The energy is actually, it is in the form of ATP that we have already discussed it. And then hence different protein molecules in the plasma membrane play the major role in the active transportation. These protein molecules, we have discussed these protein molecules early in the earlier class. These protein molecules are termed as, or they are called as pumps, PUMPS pumps. These pumps are present across the plasma membrane or cell membrane, and then these pumps can transport substances from a low concentration to high concentration. This low concentration to high concentration is normally called as uphill transportation, where much maximum levels of protein molecules are involved and the maximum amount of energy is also kept. So investment of energy is also high. So transport rate reaches a maximum when all the protein transporters are being used or saturated. It is normally seen in the case of like enzymes, the carrier proteins, very specific in what it carries across the membrane. What is present outside the plasma membrane and what is present inside the plasma membrane is the most important. And then it is a very specific active transportation. Remember, it is very specific. It transports only selectable items. As I told you earlier, that is example, enzymes. So these proteins are very, very sensitive to inhibitors that react with the protein side chain. Remember this. And then the comparison of different transport process. When you take simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, that is called as facilitated transportation, and active transportation. First thing, in simple diffusion, no special membranes are required, no protein gates are required, and no highly selectable membranes, highly selectable products are not required here. And then saturation of transportation is also not seen here, and there is no uphill transportation and no use of energy in the case of diffusion. Diffusion is very, very, very simple process in which no such kind of saturation, no such highly selectable substances, and special membrane proteins, uphill transportation, and energy is required. But whereas in the case of facilitated diffusion, here protein molecules are required. These protein molecules are called as protein gates, and then it is highly selectable. Means highly selectable means it selects only certain molecules inside the cell atmosphere, inside the cell. So say for example, poisonous substances. If you take poisonous substances are not readily uptaken by the cell. They are kept away from the cell because of this facilitated diffusion. And then saturation point is also seen in the case of facilitated diffusion, but it is not seen in the case of simple diffusion. And then here in the facilitated diffusion, no uphill transportation, but it requires energy. No energy is required in the case of facilitated diffusion. But when you turn to this active transportation, all are required. See, that is special protein gates are required, that are special membrane proteins, and it is highly selectable, highly selective, and transportation rate reaches to saturation point. And then uphill transportation is also seen in active transportation, and it does require energy. That is the most important. And then we are moving towards another topic that is called as plant relations in the case of with water. Water is the most important non-living element without which no living organism can live on planet Earth. So, for example, take in the case of terrestrial plants. Terrestrial plants means the plants which are living on land are called as terrestrial plants. You might have heard this word very frequently, that is called as transpiration. Transpiration means loss of water in the form of water vapor through stomata of leaves is called as transpiration. That is normally seen. So you remember this topic, transpiration. Keep aside this transpiration definition, one point. And then we are moving to another topic that is called as water potential. Water potential also comes in the topic that is called plant water relation. What is water potential? Plant water relations. To understand these plant water relations, water potential concept of water potential is very, very important. And then apart from this water potential, there is another one, solute potential and pressure potential. See, here water molecules possesses, they possess kinetic energy. This, what is this kinetic energy? In liquid and gaseous form, they are in random motion, that is both rapid and constant. All the molecules in gases and all the molecules in liquid, they move in throughout the length of the container or throughout the length of that particular area in random fashion. The greater the concentration of water in the system, the greater is kinetic energy. So remember this point, the greater the concentration of water in a system, the greater is its kinetic energy. Means pure water will have a greater kinetic energy since no other molecules are added to pure water. Take for instance rainwater. If you collect rainwater in a glass of, that is in a glass, and if you see the water potential in that rainwater, water potential of that rainwater is very, very high because no solute molecules are added to water, and then the kinetic energy of water molecules is very, very high. Hence, it is obvious that pure water will have the greatest water potential. Remember, pure water will have greatest water potential. If two systems containing water in contact, random movement of water molecules will result in net movement of water molecules from one system to another system. Say, for example, if we collect rainwater in one glass and you collect solvent, something is added, for example, salt is added to rainwater. Keep glass A rainwater and keep glass B rainwater plus solute is added, simple solute, that is salt is added. Salt, since the salt molecules are present inside the glass B container, it obstructs the flow of molecules, especially water molecules inside glass B. Whereas in the case of glass A, no solute molecules are added. Since that the kinetic energy of water molecules is high, it means that water molecules in pure rainwater move in all directions randomly. When you keep these two water bodies come into contact with each other, that is glass A and glass B, imagine which water moves to which water container. Automatically, water moves from high kinetic energy to low kinetic energy. It means that water moves from glass A to glass B. Since glass A, it is water is high in high kinetic energy, it moves towards the water B, that is container B. In the container B, we have added salt to that water. It means that because of this concentration gradient, water molecules from high kinetic energy to they move towards the low kinetic energy. In the case of diffusion, if you want to say that water molecules move from low concentration to high concentration, but the definition is wrong. But if you remember this rainwater and rainwater added salt, and then the high kinetic energy to low kinetic energy. So this is the very important thing. This process of movement of substances down a gradient of free energy is called as diffusion. Water potential is denoted by Greek symbol that is called as psi, PSI psi, and is expressed in pressure units such as Pascal. And then next come to another topic that is called as solute potential. If you add some salt or some sugar to pure water, then the kinetic energy of the pure water will be reduced, thereby increasing the solute potentiality. That potentiality is called as solute potential. It is denoted by psi s. It is always negative. Solute potential is always negative because we have added some solute molecules to pure form of water or pure form of liquid. Say, for example, water. If you add salt to pure water, then the kinetic energy of water is decreased and the solute potentiality is also increased, thereby decreasing the kinetic energy of water. Since the decreasing of kinetic energy of water is a negative sign, that is the reason we consider solute potential as a negative. The more the solute molecules, the lower the kinetic energy of water molecules. For a solution at atmospheric pressure, that is both denoted as psi W, that is solute potential, water potential psi W, and solute potential psi S. If the pressure is increased, see, you might have seen that pressure cookers in your houses, generally pressure cookers, what happens if you boil potatoes or if you boil hard vegetables, we pour water and we keep them normally in pressure cookers. What happens if you add pressure, then the potentiality of water increases. The more the pressure, the more the potentiality of water, the kinetic energy of water, thereby boiling the potatoes and hard vegetables very easy. So this is the mechanism. If the pressure is greater than the atmospheric pressure, it is applied to pure water. Even though the solute is present, then the kinetic energy of water increases. This is the most important. This potentiality is normally called as pressure potential. If you add pressure, then automatically kinetic energy of water is increases. That is the reason water potentiality is equal to solute potential minus that is pressure potential. Then plus water potential is equal to solute potential plus pressure potential. This is the formula normally written. Next, osmosis. We move on to another topic as well as osmosis. Osmosis is a different topic which is in the 9th class syllabus and even in the 10th class syllabus we have discussed it. A semi-permeable membrane is required. On the other side of semi-permeable membrane, we keep water with high solute molecules. On the other side, we keep pure water, that is less solute dissolvable water or less solute molecules present in water. If you keep them side by side, separating them a semi-permeable membrane, normally water moves from high kinetic energy to low kinetic energy. This is the definition of osmosis. Osmosis occurs spontaneously in response to driving force. The net direction and the rate of osmosis depends on both pressure gradient, that is concentration gradient we have discussed already. And then opposite to exactly osmosis, there is another term that we have discussed in the last class, reverse osmosis, that is RO water. Normally this term is used in daily usage, reverse osmosis, RO water. What is reverse osmosis? Pressure is applied in the osmosis process, thereby drawing the pure water from the impure water, drawing high kinetic energy water from the low kinetic energy water, that is dirty water or maybe sewage water, some other waste water, that is maybe seawater. This is the mechanism involved in the osmosis and reverse osmosis. And then we move on to another topic that is called as plasmolysis. Plasma means, you know, that plasmolysis means breaking down of cell membrane within the a cell, or taking out the water from the cell is normally called as plasmolysis. So what happens here, before discussing about plasmolysis, we are going to discuss about some solutions that are called as isotonic solutions, hypotonic solutions, and hypertonic solutions. So what is isotonic solutions? Solutions which are of equal concentration gradient are normally considered as isotonic solutions. And then if the hypotonic solutions means when we compare with other water bodies or when compared with other water containers, the concentration or if the external solution is more dilute, remember, if the external solution is more dilute than the cytoplasm, it is called as a hypotonic. So we are talking about cytoplasm only. And if the external solution is more concentrated when compared to cytoplasm of a cell, then that solution is called as a hypertonic solution. Remember, if the external solution is equal to the concentration of cytoplasm of a cell, then it is that liquid is called as isotonic solution. If the solution, external solution is more dilute than the cytoplasm of a cell, it is called as hypotonic. And if the external solution is more concentrated, then it is called as a hypertonic solutions. So if you keep a cell in a hypertonic solution, what happens? Normally, water leaves the cell into surrounding solution, thereby killing the cell. Then that is called as plasmolysis. Plasmolysis, remember once again, if you keep a cell in a hypertonic solution, water moves from cell to the surrounding or external medium. Since the external medium, concentration of external medium is much more than compared to than this cell, then water leaves the cell, thereby killing the cell, or that is shrinkage of cell is usually seen. And then in the same thing, the water when drawn out of the cell through diffusion into extracellular, that is surrounding cells, that causes the protoplast to shrink from the cell walls. Initially, this phenomenon is indicated by the shrinkage of protoplast, leading to the separation of plasma membrane from the cell wall at the corners. This stage is called as incipient plasmolysis. Remember, incipient plasmolysis. When the cell is left in the hypotonic solution for more time, then the protoplasm completely shrinks, thereby killing the cell. That process is called as a plasmolysis. That is very, very important. And then here we are going to, hence, water potential becomes equal to the solid potential. That is thereby equalizing this normal living cells when kept in hypotonic solutions become flaccid. In such cells, the pressure potential becomes zero, as the water potential becomes equal to solute potential. That is psi W is equal to psi S. S means that is solute. Now we move on to another topic that is called as Turgor pressure. The process of plasmolysis is usually reversible. You can once again bring back the cell to normal position. When the cells are placed in the hypotonic solution, usually water leaves from the surrounding into cell. That is normally seen. If you keep some kismis in water, normally kismis means draksha, in endu draksha we call in Telugu. Normally they imbibe. Okay. So water diffuses into cell, causing cytoplasm to build up some pressure against the cell wall. This pressure is called as Turgor pressure into the cell, causing the cytoplasm to build up some pressure against the cell wall. Then this pressure is called as Turgor pressure, which is normally used in olden days, that is in ancient period, to break up the huge rocks. People used to keep the some blocks of wooden blocks are kept inside the crevices of rock, and then they keep on pouring water to that crevices, thereby breaking down the rocks, huge rocks into pieces because of that Turgor pressure. The pressure exerted by the protoplast, the pressure exerted by the protoplast due to entry of water against the cell wall is called as pressure potential. Remember, pressure potential. Because of the rigidity of the cell wall, the cell does not rupture. Usually animal cells, sometimes animal cells they rupture, but in the case of plant cells, they never rupture because of the presence of this strong cell wall around them. So Turgor pressure is ultimately responsible for enlargement and extension of growth of a cell. Remember, Even target pressure is normally seen in even Christmas, Endodraksha. If you keep Endodraksha in water for a while, then you might have seen that Endodraksha, the Christmas imbibe, or uh, they become normal looking Draksha. That's a definition. So we keep those definitions. Next, another definition that we keep on discussing, that is imbibition. Imbibition is a type of diffusion where normally water is absorbed by solids, colloids, causing them to increase in volume. So, what are solids colloid substances? Solid colloid substances, they are neither solids nor colloid. I mean, that is liquid substance. They are considered as solid colloid substances. The classical examples that I told you already, that is seeds and dry wood. If you keep pouring water on dry wood, that dry wood normally enlarges in size. Even the seeds, if you keep some seeds in water, next morning, you might have seen the seeds are imbibed, and they are enlarged in size. The pressure that is produced by swelling of wood was used in the prehistoric man to split the rocks and boulders. Boulders means petrol. So this imbibition is also type of diffusion. Since water movement is along with the concentration gradient. Take for instance seeds. Take for instance dry wood. So these are the best examples for the imbibition. The next we move on to, that is another one, long distance transportation of water, which is usually done by xylem and phloem tissue. Xylem conducts water and minerals to the entire length of the plant cells, whereas in the case of phloem collects the food materials that are produced inside a site of production of a food. What is site of production of food? It is normally considered as a leaf. During photosynthesis process, food is prepared inside the leaf. That food is should reach to entire length of the plant. That transportation of food is by phloem cells that normally involved in the vascular bundles or vascular tissues. This bulk movement of substances through the xylem and phloem tissues is normally called as a translocation. Next, apoplast. Next, we move on to another topic that is called as apoplast and symplast. What is apoplast and symplast? Apoplast is a movement of water molecules, especially water. What is apoplast? Before that we discussed about the cell and cell surroundings. The system of adjacent cell walls that is continuous throughout the plant. A plant cells alone, a cell cannot exist normally, but many cells are seen. Adjacent cells are seen. Adjacent cell walls are also seen, and then these adjacent cell walls, the water should have to move. The apoplastic movement of water occurs exclusively through the intercellular spaces, mean the spaces that are present between two cells or among the cells. Then that movement is called as apoplastic movement. And another hand that is called as symplastic movement is the movement of water molecules between the cell, that is one cell to another cell, another cell to another cell. That transportation is normally called as a symplastic transportation, where water moves from one cell to inside another cell to inside another cell or neighboring cells. That is through plasma desmata. So apoplast and symplast. And then we move on to another topic, that is you might have heard this word, that is mycorrhiza. What is mycorrhiza and what is that? And even in the first year botany, we discussed about epidermis, endodermis, and had cortex cells, how cortex cells and epidermis, endodermis, cortex cells, these receive water. These are all the come under apoplast and symplast. And then we move on to another thing that is called as mycorrhiza. It's a friendship between fungus and roots of some plants, especially pine plants, in order to establish nitrogenous compounds inside soil. Okay, some plants have an obligate association. Obligate association means compulsory association with a mycorrhiza. For example, pinus trees or pine trees cannot germinate and establish without the presence of this fungus. So that combination is called as a mycorrhiza. Then next another topic that is called as root pressure. What is root pressure? Pressure exerted by water on the roots is normally called as root pressure. Because of this, water moves all the length of this roots to the entire length of the plant, tip of the plant. Without root pressure, there is no any support. I mean, that is the transportation of water all the way from soil into the a plant. So another topic that is called as guttation. What is guttation? Normally in Poaceae family, grass family members, you might have seen some droplets of water on the tip of the grass blades in the morning session. That is water, excess of water leaves these grass blades during the that is winter, especially in the morning time. That such loss of water in the liquid phase is normally known as guttation. Guttation is nothing but loss of water in the form of droplets. Okay, from the blades of grass is normally seen in Poaceae members in the morning winter session. Okay? And then root pressure, all this transpiration, guttation, root pressure, all these help in movement of water from soil to the tip of the plant. For example, if you consider giant sequoia plants, where they nearly reach to 120 meters or 100 meters high, to that height, water has to reach against the gravity pull. So all these topics help in all these factors help in transportation of water from roots to tip of a plant. So contribution of root pressure, transpiration, guttation, all these things are very, very useful. Then we have already discussed about transpiration pull, that is water, loss of water from the leaves through stomata of the leaves, the form of water vapor. That pull is normally kept on, the pressure is kept on the roots, thereby roots absorb water into the plants. Then another topic, that is cohesion tension and adhesion tension. These cohesion tensions and adhesion tensions are also discussed in the 10th class. Once again, we discuss all those things. Cohesion tension is a tension, or that is a mutual attraction between or amongst the water molecules, is called as a cohesion tension. If you keep a droplet of water side by side, and if you try to merge them, they easily merge because of the pressure, because of the tension, called as a cohesion tension. And then adhesion tension is the tension, that is attraction of water molecules to the polar surfaces of tracheary elements, especially in xylem. And then another thing is transpiration pull. I told you already, because water exhibits a pressure, a strength called as a tensile strength, capillary strength. These are all together help in water moving all the way from soil into tip of the plant. And the next one, transpiration. In the transpiration, we have already discussed soil and water atmosphere, and soil plant atmospheric continuum, that is called as SPAC. And then another topic that is called as photoactive stomata and scotoactive stomata. What is photo? Photo means sunlight. Active means, you know, that during sunlight, during daylight, stomata are active, mean they open during daytime and close during nighttime. And then scotoactive stomata. Scoto means darkness. Scotoactive stomata are the stomata which are usually open during night time and remain closed during the daytime. You normally seen in the desert plants, camp pathway plants. These are all the we discussed in the first year class. Next, opening and closing of stomata. The mechanism and opening of opening and closing of stomata will be discussed in the next class. So before moving on to these things, I wanted to once again emphasize photoactive stomata, photoactive stomata, and then definition of transpiration, and then definition of tensile strength and capillary strength of a water, and then what is transpiration pull, cohesion pressure, cohesion tension, adhesion tension, and then root pressure. Within the root pressure, we have discussed about guttation. Take down the definition of guttation also. And then next, we have discussed about mycorrhiza, the mutual understanding of fungus with roots of pine plants is normally called as not only pine plants, there are many varieties of pine plants and then many varieties of trees. For example, rhododendrons make the friendship with fungus. Okay, remember this mycorrhiza also. And then next, we have discussed about apoplast and symplast. Apoplast is among between or amongst the cells, and symplast is within the cell, movement of water within the cell to cell, another cell to another cell. Okay, and then another topic we have discussed translocation, that is mass flow of translocation, or also called as bulk flow of translocation, which come under long distance and transportation of water. And then we have discussed imbibition. Imbibition means that is dry wood. When dry wood is wet for over a period of time, then they swell. That swelling is normally called as imbibition. That is imbibition in solid colloidal substances. And then we have discussed about turgor pressure, and then pressure potential also. Keep on pressure. If you keep on adding pressure to a system, then because of pressure, water potentiality increases. Okay, that is also one thing that we have discussed. Okay, then take down the definitions of all these things.